very nice Sunday. Nice and sunny, and yesterday was a good day. Actually, the whole day. I don't think we had the typical overcast, drizzly weather which we've had every single day virtually. So maybe this is the weather's turning. I think the forecast is rather good. So with any luck, we may actually get some consistent sunny weather. Only downside of that is that it'll affect my garden if when I'm OS. If it goes to its normal weather pattern, then it's going to be quite dry. So I'm just seeing if my neighbours want to take some plants, and I'll be going over there at the Savo, and I'm going to bring along a bottle of rum, the Sailor Jerry rum, and we'll have some what's it called, dark and stormy. I think it's dark and stormy. Anyway, it's a cocktail. Just basically includes it's rum and dark rum. I don't think actually this is spiced rum. It's probably not technically dark rum, but it's quite nice. So that's all I really care about. And I mix the Woolworths ginger beer with it. So I put about, say, 2/3, or maybe, yeah, 2/3 ginger beer at least, maybe 3/4 to rum on the rocks. But you can also add lime juice apparently. So maybe, well, they might have some limes. I've got a lime tree out the front which looks like it's going to bear fruit fairly soon. But it won't be for a few months, I'd say. But at least it looks like it's about to flower, so that's very encouraging. So I may have my own lime supply available, which would be great. Because actually the other plants are doing abysmally. As usual, when anything, the snow peas and the sugar peas are all looking really sick now. They've all gone sort of white leavish. And it's actually been very cool weather, so I thought it would have been the perfect year for them to actually survive a bit longer, but they haven't. They're just wilting. There's only one plant on the trellis that seems to be doing okay, and I think that's a climbing tomato. Tomatoes seem to do okay here, but I have absolutely no luck with green leaf vegetables. There may be a way of growing them here. I mean, the guy down in Brisbane, Self-Sufficient Me, he's able to get a huge crop of snow peas. God knows how he does it, because it's in Brisbane, so it's a similar weather pattern. It's not that much warmer up here than Brisbane. So if he can do it, in theory I should be able to do it. So maybe I should have a look at that video on his snow peas again and see if there's any clues to why it's not working. Because I'd like to be able to grow them, but it is hard to beat the commercial stuff. I just made a meal using capsicums that was store-bought, and I just can't grow them at that size. I've got some that are growing, but they're very small. So yeah, it may be the seed stocks I've got. Maybe I've got to pay a bit more for decent seeds. That's what Dale, the handyman, thought. So he could be right. Anyway, it's pretty quiet here. I thought there'd be more people out on a Sunday, especially in a really nice sunny day like this. I thought there'd be people dog walking. Anyway, I'm going to see if apparently there's some progress on the bridge, on the bike trail bridge. They've apparently got some forms that are on top of the bridge now, where they're going to pour concrete into. So it'll be interesting to see if well, Steve said he could get up the pathway last time he was here, and the last time I was here they had the barrier up, but chances are I'll be able to walk right up to the bridge and have a look, because I'm wearing my shoes at the moment, my runners, so it's not really appropriate for walking on the sand. I'm trying not to overuse my sandals because I'm going to give them a hell of a workover when I go OS. A few more people around. I checked my letterbox just before. I found I've got the cover for my my new Samsung tablet. That came through the mail pretty quickly actually. So it's good to have that. That's the only thing I was waiting for. So I've got all the deliveries out of the way except for the one where they took it to the post office rather than going to the extreme effort of having to knock on my door to alert me to the fact they had a slab of dark beer in their possession. Unbelievable. So I've got to get my neighbours to give me a lift down there tomorrow so I can pick up the slab. I feel bad about it. What can I do? It's just so, it's the last thing that I'm able to carry myself. I guess I could struggle and carry it to the bus, but it's a bit of a pain because I do not have to, well, I'd have to take some of the beer out of the actual carton and distribute it into my backpack because it'd be too heavy to carry the whole slab. Maybe when I was younger it'd be okay with that, but I couldn't be bothered walking from the bus stop with that. But anyway, they're out and about usually, so I don't think it's going to be a big deal for them to go down to the local post office down in Trinity. That's not much of an ask. Well, there are a few people out and about at the moment, but not super crowded, that's for sure. Not that Kowara Beach is ever really super crowded. It's a pretty laid-back beach, and I sort of like that. Because if I was down Trinity Beach now, walking along their boulevard, along Vassie Esplanade, it'd be pretty packed out, I'd say. Because people from all over Cairns go there. It's not like it's just locals. Whereas this is primarily a local beach. And well, I didn't even know it existed until I actually started house hunting. So it's a pretty low profile. And that can be a good thing. Because we've got all the facilities of the other beaches anyway. We've got the barbecues and we're going to have this bike track fairly soon. So it'd be great to be able to go all the way up to Palm Cove. So, although before I travel OS, I'm going to make sure I do get a bit of walking in because I've got to look after my back health. I don't want to repeat of the aborted trip that I had to call off in April this year. So it's just a good thing to walk anyway, but like I haven't used the e-bike for ages. It's just crazy, and I really need to get back on it and do a few trips. And maybe Steve and Yvonne might want to ride on it. I'm not sure, because it's just going to be sitting there doing nothing. So, which is what it's doing with me around anyway. But it'd be good if someone actually got some use out of the damn thing. In retrospect, maybe I would have been better off getting an electric tricycle. It's a bit more of a utility vehicle for shopping and what have you. For instance, with this slab situation, if I had a trike like that, I could just ride it over there and pick it up. Oh, I wussed out I didn't go down the path, even though the barrier was halfway down. I mean, there's nothing dangerous there, but I'll wait until I open the bloody thing. Actually, next time I'll come down with my sandals so I can go along the beach, which is a good thing to do anyway. But I just want to get out and have a walk today. It's a beautiful day for it, and there are a few people here. There's a few cars are parked, so quite a few people have driven down here. I don't know how many people are just walking it like me. But, apparently in China, they're currently experiencing deflation because demand has dropped so much, because the international trade is dropping off. They're having to cut costs, all the manufacturers, to keep sales going. So things are pretty desperate over there. Youth unemployment is really high. There could be, this is the sort of thing that causes social upheaval, which China has experienced in the past, but it will take a lot for the people to rebel. But you just never know. All these things are pretty unpredictable, especially totalitarian regimes, very difficult to pick. I personally believe that Xi Jinping has done so much damage to China, economically, diplomatically. They had a really good thing going up to about 5-10 years ago, and now they've totally blown it. Most people see them as a threat nowadays, rather than a partner in international trade and militarily. So, not smart, because I know Japan has boosted their defence budget quite substantially, and that would haunt the Chinese. They have had a fairly bad history with the Japanese over the years, and if Japan starts flexing its muscles, that's not a good sign for China, I would think. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to be Elon Musk having a huge mega factory in Shanghai. I think it's Shanghai where he's located with this Tesla factory in China, because I mean, they could easily just come in and say, look, we're going to basically take over all your assets. We're going to basically turn it into public property. The same sort of thing has happened in Russia recent times, so do not be surprised. Multinationals have to tread warily, I would think, when doing business with either of those countries. Check this out, look at this weather. I mean, what would normally happen, because I went out in the morning and it was sunny, you'd almost bank it in. You'd take a walk at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and it'd be overcast and drizzly. That's what the weather's been like. But today, it's still beautiful, which is amazing. I'm enjoying it, I've got to say, because this is one of the reasons I came up here, is for this sort of weather, especially during winter. But we've been robbed to a large extent with a lot of overcast weather, but today, superb. So no complaints. Yeah, found out my cousin has to have an operation, which is unusual, the first operation she's ever had. So she's pretty lucky that she's dodged the surgeon's scalpel, because God, I've had how many operations have I had? Oh, maybe 10? I'm only guessing. It's quite a few. So I'm used to being sliced and diced, but not so for her. I think she's a little nervous, but it's actually a fairly standard op, so hopefully won't be a major issue. And she's pretty fit. She eats well and isn't carrying weight, so she should be okay. And she's a nurse who knows the actual surgeon. She's actually wait for the procedure, because he's OS at the moment on holidays. So it's a bit of a pain for her. Fingers crossed she's okay in the next month or so before the op. So that was a bit of a surprise. I'm getting a little nervous as the days tick by, gets closer to travel. I should be okay, but you know, it's still a ways to go before I head off. But I worry about stupid little things, especially when I'm asleep at night. It's funny how they become magnified as problems until you wake up in the morning and you think, well, you know, what's the big deal? And it's not like I haven't travelled a lot either, but I do have a couple of little logistical things I've got to get over. When I arrive in Ho Chi Minh, it'll be around 5:30 in the morning, so nothing will be open. I'll have to wait around the airport, I think, for a couple of hours before I get a taxi, because I can't even deposit my bags off at the homestay until 8:30. So if it gets in on time, I'll probably have to wait around a couple of hours at the airport, just so that I'll, because the homestay is sort of you have to go through another business, I think, at the bottom to actually register. It's not like a hotel. It's actually sort of more ad hoc, and so we'll see how it goes. I know where it is at least. I suppose that's one thing. At least I've been there before. That's always stressful when you haven't been to a place, and you just got to rely on a taxi driver, and they're not always great at what they're doing. And it'll be nice to actually have a change in the scenery, because I'm in a bit of a rut at the moment with what I've been doing with the medical stuff, because I go every week at the same time, and I have to take all these pills and crap, and I'll be ditching all that while I'm OS, so that's good. But getting to Vietnam from here, you've got to first have a connecting flight down to Brisbane, so it's not as easy as when I was in Melbourne, where it's just basically rock up to the airport once and that's it, direct flight, and you're there. It's very good. Mind you, my biggest hurdle today is actually getting the visa. This is the day. This is the day when finally Vietnam has allowed 3 monthly visas, and my trip's going to be more than a month, so I'm going to need it. So also arranging things for someone to stay in my house, which is good. Always good to have someone there just for security. I was fairly lucky because when I walked up to the main bus station in Cairns Central, it was only a 3-minute wait for the Kuara beach bus, so that was good. And what was even better is there's no school kids on it, because it was in the danger zone. It was about 20 past 1. So I think the next bus coming along will probably cop the school kids. They seem to get out pretty early up here. But it was a quiet bus trip, which was good. No complaints. So, got a few admin things done. It was, I should have got out of the clinic about half hour earlier, but there was a different person doing the procedure on me, and they just, they were slower than the other people. So what can you do? Just luck of the draw, I suppose, with those medical facilities. But good to be back in Kuara. I know I mentioned a while back I had a bit of a sore left foot, and I thought I got over it, and the damn thing's back again. So maybe I've just got to do more walking to walk it out. I'm not sure, but it's definitely more tender than the right. So not good if you're going OS and you want to do a bit of exploring. Although the best city for alternate ways of getting around, cheap ways, is, in other words, vis-a-vis grab bike, of course, is Saigon. Very cheap. Although the Aussie dollar's dropping, so it's a bit of a race against the clock to that extent. A superb day in far north Queensland. It's Thursday early morning, about 9:30, and I'm going to unleash the beast again, which is my e-bike, and just make sure the juice is flowing. You've got to push this little button here to activate the battery. Yeah, there you go. The green light's on. So now we have power, and the display comes up, and you can see there's plenty of juice in the battery going on that bar there. So all's ready to go. I'll head out, and this will be the first time I've used this bike maybe in 2 months. So I'm really not getting much use out of it. I do need to get a bag of Parmesan cheese from Coles, and that's a 10-kilometre trip. Maybe I'll use this to do that, because the weather is finally benign, which is great. Anyway, I've got to head off to a doctor's appointment, and hopefully everything go well with the bike. Another spectacular day. Not a cloud in the sky. No, I can't see one. There you go. It's amazing weather. Amazing transformation. It's just been consistently dry for, it must be at least 5 days now in a row. So it's been an amazing streak of weather. And I'm going to go down the beach now. And I I've got my sandals on, so I can go down, walk along the actual sand if I can't get down further down the actual track. So we'll see what, if any, progress has been made with the bike track. And I made some major progress with my impending trip yesterday when I actually finally found the right portal online to apply for the new 90-day visa for Vietnam. And I actually initially found it through one of the online newspapers in Vietnam that I read on a daily basis, and it was I think it's called Vietnam Express. I'll just put it, if I made a mistake they'll put it up on the screen. But they had a couple of links. One didn't work, and the second one was from a sort of Department of Police and Security, which I hadn't seen before, because I've been trying to get through on the old web page, which is still functioning for 30-day e-visas. But I would have assumed that they were just going to update that particular page, because, you know, they've done all the basic work on it and just extend it to include 90 days. But no, they haven't. They're just keeping it as a 30-day e-visa page, which is pretty weird, actually. I think the reason is because I put a few more questions in the new one. It's not as user-friendly. I initially didn't click on English on the preceding page, and I ended up getting a mixture of English and Vietnamese. So I thought I must got the English version, but no, apparently I hadn't. So I gave up on that. I spent a bit of time trying to do the translations from from English to Vietnamese. It's not easy with some of the drop-down questions. And for instance, I couldn't even answer what type of visa or what type of a visa I wanted. You know, I wanted a tourist visa, obviously, and I couldn't even get that as an option. I tried to do the translations on each option, which took time, and none of them fitted that bill. So it's very difficult. So as it turned out, there was an English version of the page. I clicked on that, and it was a lot easier, but there was still one question that totally threw me, and that was our ID number. You know, in Vietnam, being a socialist country, they've got every citizen's got their own ID number, I think. We don't have that system in Australia, and the person who set up this particular web page should really understand that this is for foreigners, not for Vietnamese. So you've got to encompass every system. So what I had to do was actually cut and paste an ID number for the actual page that was on top. I tried putting just X's in and doing some other stuff. It's getting quite frustrating. It wasn't accepting them. So I ended up just putting in the ID number for the actual web page, which is above it, and that seemed to work. But you know, you shouldn't have to do that. So once I got that done, it was fairly smooth going after that, except for the actual final bit where I had to put in through the payment. The payment screen, I went and pushed the button to pay, and just nothing happened. And that freaked me out. I got no emails, I got no notification anything had happened. So with the trepidation, I pushed it again because I was worried I might put through a duplicate payment. But the second time it seemed to work fine and said you've successfully completed the transaction, and an email was sent. So I think I've only paid once, I hope so. But yeah, the whole thing's not 100%. And that was on the day after it was supposed to be operating. So yeah, it's a bit clunky to say the least. Because the old system they got for 30-day e-visas is very good. That page works well. But other people complained to the newspaper too. I put in a complaint and it seemed to get scrubbed. So maybe they're vetting comments. So that could be a government-sponsored online paper for all I know. So it's difficult to say. But there was some criticism allowed, so it wasn't like you couldn't say anything negative. But all I did was honestly say what happened when I tried. And of course, I said, you know, if I was concerned that I might have to basically just go with a 30-day visa if this doesn't work, and have to look for an alternate return flight, which would have been a total pain in the ass. But to my relief, it appears to now be going. I'm able to review the progress of it. Not that they tell you much, it's just say it's being processed. Big deal when you check out the processing of your own visa. Hopefully it'll be finalised either tomorrow or Monday. That would be nice, because it's supposed to be 3 working days. And last time I did it, the one I didn't even use, the visa as it turned out, because I had to crook back, that took at least the 3 days, maybe even slightly more than that. So they're a bit tardy with the processing. So I want to get it done before I get insurance out to make sure everything's okay, because I don't want to be paying for insurance on a trip that I can't even go on because the bloody visa hasn't gone through. So it's a little stressful. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you, or entertainment or whatever. And either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great.